Streets of Fear presents Baton Rouge, the Siren. The humid Baton Rouge air wrapped itself around Magnolia Street like a ghostly veil. Jazz LaRue, 24, and dazzling as a sunset over the Mississippi River, was the queen of Velvet Shadows, a sultry strip club tucked behind Plank Road. Men lined up nightly to bask in her beauty, her short bob haircut framing her angelic face, her hourglass figure commanding the room like a symphony, and her enchanting smile that held a hint of mischief. Jazz wasn't just a dancer, she was a legend. And not because of her flawless routines or the crowd of high rollers who would flood the dimly lit club on the weekends. No, Jazz had a secret, one as dark as the waters of Spanish Lake. When she offered private dances, her eyes seemed to shimmer unnaturally under the dim red lighting, locking onto her client's gaze. Once caught, they couldn't look away. Jazz whispered hypnotic words that lured them into her spell. By the time the song ended, they left completely spellbound, surrendering their wallets and bank accounts, only to return night after night, arms laden with gifts, a Cartier bracelet here, stacks of cash there. But Jazz's greed grew as fast as her infamy. Over time, her regulars became hollow-eyed husks of their former selves, wandering the streets of downtown Baton Rouge as if seeking something they couldn't name. Rumors spread like wildfire in the clubs off Highland Road and Florida Boulevard. One foggy Friday night, as Jazz's shift ended, she prepared for another private show in the VIP lounge, tucked away behind heavy velvet curtains. The stench of cheap bourbon and stale cigars filled the air. This time, the dancer wasn't met with the usual sight of one eager client. Instead, all of them were there. Every man she had ever entranced sat silently in the dimly lit room. Their gifts, their wealth, their desperation had vanished. Now, they looked like statues, silent, eyes sunken, mouths drawn tight. In the middle of the group stood Marcus, the bartender, who Jazz had thought was immune to her charms. "Evening, Jazz," Marcus drawled, his voice unusually deep, as though the shadows in the room had claimed it. "It seems you've taken enough from us, so now it's our time to take from you." But her greed leads to a chilling confrontation with her victims, transforming her into a cursed figure of sorrow who haunts the club forever. Jazz forced a laugh, trying to back toward the door, but when she turned, it was locked. "I don't know what y'all are talking about," she began, her voice trembling as beads of sweat dampened her smooth brown skin. But her greed leads to a chilling confrontation with her victims, transforming her into a cursed figure of sorrow who haunts the club forever. Marcus grinned, a smile that didn't reach his cold eyes. The men rose in unison, their movements disturbingly synchronized. Their collective gaze pinned her in place like an insect under glass. "We're going to give you a private dance tonight, sweetheart," Marcus said, as he produced an antique-looking gold chain from his pocket. It glimmered in the dim light like a predator's eye. As the music plays softly in the background, the tension in the air thickens, suggesting an impending encounter. Before Jazz could run or scream, the men lunged, their hands cold as death against her warm flesh. Her once hypnotic voice cracked and faltered, the words of her spell drowned beneath a chorus of angry whispers. They shackled her with the golden chain, which burned against her wrists and neck. Jazz screamed as a fiery pain shot through her body. Marcus leaned close, his breath cold against her ear. "This chain, it belonged to someone like you, centuries ago. Let's see how you like dancing for us now." The chilling confrontation with her victims, transforming her into a cursed figure of sorrow who haunts the club forever. Under their watchful eyes, Jazz was compelled to move, her body no longer her own. Her every step was a mockery of the sensual grace that had once been her pride. The men clapped rhythmically, their hollow faces twisting into masks of cruel glee. By sunrise, Velvet Shadows was eerily quiet. Jazz was gone. The only trace of her was a faint, mournful melody that seemed to echo from nowhere, haunting the club like a ghost's laughter. Rumors now speak of another Jazz who dances in Baton Rouge's underbelly, never for love, only for sorrow. On lonely nights, dancers of certain hidden clubs swear they feel an unseen force compelling them to dance until dawn, their muscles aching, their souls drained, as though the siren of Baton Rouge had returned. Next time you're in Baton Rouge, you may feel her spirit, and if you are lucky enough, you may even see her. Jazz.